All right, so let's declare something more complex, like for instance, a list of courses. Something you might go and fetch from a service in Java, right? So let's do that. Right now, let's hard code it, and there's our course set of courses. So it's an array. Grab that, and let's see. Are we doing this in hello, or are we going to have a course list? So let's create a separate course list component that can render this, right? So let's do that. Let's create here a brand new ng generate a component, and we'll call this course list. And let's see. There it is, our course list. And in our TypeScript, let's paste here the list of courses. There we go. My particular IDE doesn't like double quotes for TypeScript for some reason. Let's see. There we go. All right, so now that course is available on the other side of my HTML here. So this is my HTML. And let's call this h1 course list. And presumably the template, or the way it would look like, it would be some UL that would have several of these LIs, one for each course, right? And ideally, presumably, this would be an iteration over many courses where we would render at each line item maybe a course .title or something, right? And we just need to be able to iterate over that. Okay? So we need to get the courses somewhere here. But for now, we first need to just render the course list, right? This page itself. And right now, the only place that we can do that for now is this at this root, or at this root component. So let's see, course list. There it is. Let's see if we can render that. There's a course list, and there's really nothing there. So we can render maybe one. Let's see, we could render one at least. We can say course says sub0 dot title. Okay, so we do have access to that array, right? And then we can iterate. We can navigate through that data structure on the component side. But ideally, what I'd like to be able to do is just iterate over it like a loop. And this is where I was telling you that that Angular provides an extension to the HTML language, right, through the use of really cool attributes. Okay? Attributes here, typically what attributes do is allow you to parameterize your HTML elements. Right? So what Angular has done is that extend that idea, right, of parameterizing or adding behavior to HTML elements by providing a family of attributes that are implemented by Angular, right, that have code that is associated, that is tied to that particular attribute. And you can create your own attributes. Right? You can create your own attributes. Just like in React, you can create your own tags. Well, here too, you can create your own tags. Right? But they extend that idea and says not only can you create your own tags, you can create your own attributes. So you can trigger behavior and programmatic behavior either as a tag. You can also trigger it with your own attributes. You can also trigger it with your own classes. So you can create your own classes, and so any class that uses that particular class will trigger JavaScript to execute. Right? It will be bound to some component that has some logic in it that renders somehow into your content. We're gonna stick to mostly just writing our own tags, right, and writing our own attributes, or using attributes that are already provided. So here we have ngFor. ngFor is, as you would expect, allows you to iterate over a collection. That collection can be an array, could be an object. Here we know that that's an array. So this courses, that's the variable we want to iterate over, right? That's being declared on the component. Right? And so this what this is going to do is it's going to iterate over all the courses. It's going to create a local variable for each one of those objects as it iterates over the array of objects. Right? So internally, we're going to have access to each one of the instances of each one of the courses inside of courses. Make sense? Right. So let's do that. Let's grab that, and let's paste that in here. There it is. So if we go back, we'll notice that we have all the courses listed there. Everybody good? All right. How about click events? What we'll like to be able to do is also bind. Not only do we want the data to go from the TypeScript and travel to the browser, we also want to respond to events or folks typing things into input fields. And we like to be able to know as folks interact with us, right? To that end, we have attributes, right, such as click, that allows us to listen for all sorts of events. Right? We're going to look at click, but certainly we have double click, blur, all change. All the major events are supported. Right? Let's take a look at click. Right? So for instance, we might want to add, at the end of this, we might want to add a button that allows you to create a new course, add course. Okay? That in this case is going to be rendered at the end down here. And if we click on it, we'd like to be able to notify the component that something happened. It's not going to be handled by us. Instead, it's going to be bound to the component itself. So the component, where is the component? So here, presumably, we're going to have some function. There's going to be something like add course. And we want to be able to invoke that course, this function, when we click on that button. Okay? So we're going to do maybe console.log add course. All right, so to do that, again, we have specific attributes that allow us to have these folks talk to one another. So the ngFor can read variables that are provided by the component and then iterate over. And click can allow us to invoke functions that are on the component. So we can say add course as a function. So let's try that out. And if we inspect, we can look at the console here. And if we click on add course, notice that indeed we are able to invoke that. Okay? All right, excellent. But not only can we call the function, we can also pass arguments. We can pass arguments, a new course, right? And on the other side, we can receive arguments on something like title. Okay, and here we can just print the title. All right, so for instance, if I click on that, it adds new course there. See that? All right. All right. Now the cool thing here is that in React you had to make a conscious decision on how you're going to maintain state, and how state changed from one moment to the other as it responded as it responded to multiple events that occur from the user. Here, the state is a little more subtle, right? There's very little of having to maintain state, right? This is an object, and the object has its own state. In this case, the only state that is being maintained is this variable, right? It's a little more object-oriented. You have an object. The object has its attributes, and that attribute is the state of the object. And that's it. Okay? and the template, the HTML template, is tied to the state of this component. Whatever happens to that component, right, also happens to the HTML. Right, the HTML will always maintain synchronicity between the state of the component, right, and whatever it's rendering. Okay, so for instance, if here we want to create a new course with a new title, right? This would be maybe title, the title that we pass as an argument, right? And perhaps a new ID. And the ID might be something like maybe new date dot get time, comma. We can, for instance, modify the state of the application, right, of this little thing. We can say courses dot push. Oh, courses. This dot courses dot push, and this new course. All right. So, for instance, if we go back and add a course, this will add just new courses as we go. Right. There's no let me update the state or modify the state based on that. Anything that happens to the state of the current component immediately gets updated. Right. This is a little less efficient than the way React does it. React is a little more granular, right, on what it is that you're modifying, right, and it can make some optimizations on exactly what needs to be modified in the DOM, right. But I think a little bit this model might be a little bit easier, right, on the at least at the abstract level. Okay. Everybody okay? All right. Excellent. Or we can for instance do a delete. Let's do that. For instance, here in the li, let's also print the ID. So this is the course.id. We could, which is also pretty cool here, is that we could also generate a button for every single element here. So delete course. Right? So that renders like this, or not. There we go. So delete course. Right? So maybe not delete course, just delete. There it is. And we can tie this to some function that might not exist just yet. Delete course, and we might pass in the object course. Now that course is pretty cool because that course is the original course that was used to render the li, right? That it remembers that as it's rendering each one of those li's, right, it's going to know, oh, I used that particular course to render that li. So it'll know which one to pass in, which is pretty cool. Right? So if we have the delete course on this side, we have this delete course. This can take as argument an actual object, right, as opposed to maybe just the ID. Right? So you can keep it high, very high level, right, with the as opposed to a low level ID. So in this case, let's just print out the course. And let's see what that does. So if we click on this one right here, notice that it prints out the original ID, the original object, right, CS5200 with the ID 23. This one 234. Right, so it knows exactly the object that was generated. If I add a new course, right, if I click on this one, it knows that it's that one. There it is, or that one. Right. For removal, what we could do for removal, we can splice it out. Right, if we find the object, we can say maybe this dot courses is equal to this dot courses dot filter, and I only want which ones we want. So here's course, and say that the ones where course is oh wait, no. So this is I'll call this delete me. delete course, deleted course. Copy, paste. So where the course.id is not equal to deleted course.id. So if they're not equal, I want them, right? If it is equal, I don't want it. Right? So let's do that. So we delete. Notice that it immediately updates the state without me having to update state or set state or do anything like that. Right? It's just that variable. Whatever happens to that variable, right? It triggers a re-rendering of the DOM. Right? Again, perhaps not as optimal and granular as you might have control over in a React application, but I think it's a little bit easier to think about it. Let's see, we can also remove ones that we generate. Okay? Add course, we looked at that, yeah? All right, let's talk about forms.